All right, so we're back at it again, reacting to middle ground. Basically, we're talking about social media when it comes to teens. Is it good for society? Is it harming our teens? Being a negative catalyst for our teens? And is it really sparking a lot of other implications in our society?
I kind of just have enough posts that doesn't make me seem like a loser.
Okay, so that's the problem. There's always this need that you have to keep up with the Jonases. Basically, you got to keep up with your neighbor, keep up with your friend, trying to buy all this expensive stuff, house, car, fancy jewelry, whatever. Just trying to keep up with other people because you're trying to look like, you belong. Social media has really not only exploited that, but actually expanded upon that because now everyone's just trying to like have that selfie moment, that Instagram moment. It's causing people to do whatever they need to do to get famous. And whether that be the, crate challenge that happened a few years ago, or the Tide Pod challenge, the cinnamon challenge, and it's just really like astounding me like how far it has gone since social media has taken off in the past like decade.
I think TikTok is because it's manipulating their users and taking so much information from them, and they're showing that through the For You page, and people don't care.
TikTok is a main discussion in the congressional, especially in the new Congress coming forth this next year. A House representative or Senate, I can't remember who is doing it, but basically they've even like put forward legislation to ban TikTok on government devices, which in my opinion, I think on government devices you shouldn't have it because for one, this is a Chinese app by a Chinese company that is heavily controlled by the Chinese government. But even without that Chinese component, basically it's sucking up so much metadata, so much information to where it's just like your location, your, likes, your dislikes, as well as like collecting so much, things about you that you don't even know. And really that's just like harboring a lot of data that, this company is selling off to advertisers and stuff.
I spend more than 3 hours on social media daily.
Yep, that's me easily. Because it's my hobby too, YouTube and all that.
For me, a lot of my school stuff got pushed to social media, all the clubs and orgs. Another one that's more personal to me is that keeps you in touch with your family. All my family's in Vietnam, so yeah.
That's fair.
You get sucked in, like you go on for like 30 minutes and then you're just there forever, and that happens to me all the time.
Yeah,
But
me and
sometimes
TikTok
I spend more time
especially.
comparing myself to others. Oh, I'm not getting that many likes, and it kind of brings me down.
But if I went on TikTok and I kind of just analyzed everyone and just was like trying to compare myself, then it would definitely bring me down. But just as a content creator, I just have the mindset of like, oh, this is what you make and maybe I can make it differently.
Have an Instagram, I have a TikTok, but like I never open the app like ever. I'm clearly not the skinniest, and like I have alopecia, so I'm losing my hair, and like I'll look on social media and like I'll see some like K-pop star and they're like a 00 with the longest hair on the planet, and they're like like their skin is silk smooth.
And I love the video because it's funny, it's short, and it like matches my personality. But it makes me really upset when like I FaceTime with my friend and she's scrolling through TikTok. It's really scary to see my friends kind of disconnect with me and just connect with these people they've never met.
I do agree with that statement because there's been moments, times FaceTiming or like doing my like friends and stuff, talking, and sometimes I look at like a TikTok or like Instagram notifications. Several of my friends called me one time and just like, bro, we're having a conversation. Why are you disengaging? Like, and that really was just like, yeah, maybe like I need to step back. And especially like teenagers, when you get to that age when you want to make friends and you want to just be in the it crowd, you're more likely to connect with strangers. You're more likely to connect with like people who seem like you're hyping on social media rather than connect with people in your real life who are maybe more real, maybe more honest about you. I think that's part of the way that's harming kids because they're getting a distorted viewpoint of reality. The internet is forever. I remember in high school, we were doing a scholarship, and basically I come from a small town. Basically, I think 8 of us, like in my small town, like graduating class, we were all applying for this like a town scholarship. Basically, one of the girls ran out after her interview and was just like, they exposed my Facebook because she had posted a lot of like weird stuff on Facebook. They found my Facebook. I thought I deleted the pictures or deleted all this stuff. But now they exposed me. They're not considering me for the scholarship because of just like literally something that she posted 3 years ago. So be mindful about what you post because you never know which employer, you never know which, company is going to see your Facebook post and really just like, wreck your opportunities.
there can be communities found within social media, but my personal experience with it, and from a lot of stories that I've heard through Log Off, is that a lot of kids have lost people because of social media. And I think that that constant mindless scrolling allows you to kind of go into this bubble and just hunker down and to not really talk with people.
It's like every time you go out to dinner, basically, you know, you have that friend that wants to like snap everything, snap the moment, and like, you know, and even people snapping their food and stuff and saying like, oh, the camera got to eat first. I'm like, I found that very weird because I'm just like, it's food. Like, why are we taking pictures of food? I feel like the more and more we try to connect with each other on social media, the more disconnected we are.
Like, we wouldn't communicate, it would just be pictures just to post on Instagram. And then I would find myself that like we didn't even connect when we were hanging out. It wasn't quality time because I feel like, oh, I have to get that perfect photo of all of us looking like we're having fun. Even if we're not, I just need to get that so I can post it.
It's good to like interact with the people that support you.
But what would you say to like bigger influencers like Kylie Jenner or like Kim Kardashian that can't have that interaction via the comments?
Yeah, and then Alex, some people just don't even reply to you. They'll just double tap, like the message.
I don't know if you guys know, we're not really strangers. If you guys know them, they have a card game. You don't know. Okay, so it's basically a card game where you have perception, analysis, and then reflection, and then you just have conversation like, or how are you really, or you know, if what would you name the chapter of this in your life, and then boom, we're in a 20-minute conversation that like she feels really low and she's trying to change, and you know, and I would have never thought that if this social media account didn't push me or didn't encourage me to have deeper conversations.
I agree, but I think the issue is with the algorithm in place, like that's not popping up on my feed. Like I don't know that those exist. And because it's so expansive and because there's so much hollowness and mindless scrolling, like I've never found that. If I found that, I would have loved that.
The thing with the algorithm on the internet, I don't like the notion that, you know, especially with all these gurus and self-help, you know, entrepreneurs talking about, well, you can learn these skills on the internet. The internet is a vast expanse. There's billions upon billions to even trillions of pages on the internet. Like, to be able to learn specific things or get specific outreach or get what you might need, it might take you a while to actually find that. Especially when you talk about Instagram and TikTok. The algorithm is just feeding you like stuff that you're going to continue to go down the rabbit hole of what you like and just kick out what you don't like and just cater this environment to where it's just like you don't get anything outside of your bubble. The reason why vaccine hesitancy, like misinformation, disinformation was spreading so much during the pandemic and it's still spreading right now because pretty much the algorithm was just force feeding like conspiracy theorists, you know, vaccine hesitant people, you know, misinformation, disinformation. I think Facebook had a big issue with that and like they actually got called up to Congress at one point for it. And basically it's just like catering to the viewpoints of the people to start having group think.
But don't you think maybe like the algorithm in place is what's making it so dangerous? Because it's like they're pumping out these really terrible kind of like content videos, but also you've got like the attention economy where they're like fighting to get your information to then give to people, to like to put ads in your feed that you won't notice.
It makes me remember that social media isn't just, you know, the whole TikTok scene. It's also schools, there's clubs and stuff. I've made a couple new friends from social media because they live in Ventura, I live in San Diego, so I don't think it's necessarily just the whole big fame thing.
Okay, this is a tricky topic because I got mixed feelings about this.
I know you guys remember like those Musical.ly days. I feel like that was my biggest bullying because it's like when it's just like entering a whole different society. It's just like when you're going out, you're making videos, you don't really know what you want to post or what you want to do or what you want to look like. So it is going to be cringy at first and it's not going to be great.
And yeah, I really let it get to me for a long time, but then I realized, you know, like they're only making fun of me because I'm giving them attention about it. So I just had to like block them from all my accounts and block all the people they were following and block all the people that were following them. And then I just had to stop looking. And if I don't look at it, then I don't know what they're saying.
And so what they just said, I personally agree. I think cyberbullying isn't an actual thing unless it translates into actual bullying. I just think people get to the perception where it's just like if they see hate online or something, they let it affect their real life. It doesn't translate into real life, and like we're letting it perceive, making it a bigger deal than what it actually is. When in just reality, you have control about who you block, who you can't see. You can mute people on Twitter. You can block people on Instagram. You can, you know, report people on TikTok, you know, spreading hate and all that. So it's just like cyberbullying, as it just lays on the line, I just feel like you can definitely control that unless it seeps into like real life.
My cyberbullying experience, the first like big one, I was in like this like dance team, right? And I was the shortest kid, the fattest kid, and like one of like 3 Asians. So I clearly stuck out no matter what I did. And you know, like after practice, like all the girls would like do that like 2014 like ass out like and like the duck face thing pose. One day, like one of them like invited me to take the photo with them, and I thought like this was the only way you could pose on Instagram. They took the photo and they were all like laughing, and they started uploading it. The next 2.5, 3 years, they would continuously like bring me into the photo. Like I would never just go up. They'd always ask me, hey, do you want to be in the photo? When I got an Instagram and when I started following like my fellow dance team members, I would look at their Instagrams, and like from the beginning, it's photos of me. They'll zoom in on me and they'll be like, look at that fat thing, that fucking monster. Like, is it trying to pose? Like, what does that thing think it is? Like, do they think they're cute? Elementary school. Like, I don't know how to deal with myself, and you expect me to know how to deal with people calling me it and like a monster.
That's when I kind of agree with cyberbullying, where it's just like people are gonna like translate that into real life that actually affects your real life, to where it's just like the people that you have in your circle, like in her dance team as well as at school. I think that's when I feel like cyberbullying draws a line. If it's just, you know, online with a bunch of strangers and stuff, I just don't feel like it has any real purpose being called bullying. You just have haters.
Instagram, TikTok, everything is the highlight reel. My Instagram, I'm not gonna post the ugliest picture of me. When I scroll through my friends, in the back of my head, I should know that's the same for them. Yet I'm like, they look so pretty. Why do I not look like that?
I'm at like an aquarium and I'm leaning against like one of the fish tanks, and my dad and my brother are next to me, and I'm like half my brother's height. My face just sagging, my body, like my clothes don't fit on me. And I'm like, at that time, I didn't realize how depressed I was and how much these dance photos were ruining me. That's kind of when I knew like social media is not something I'm not safe here, you know? And so
social media is like, if you have a bad friend in real life and your mom's like, avoid them, don't be next to them and stuff, but on social media, you almost can't avoid them. And I feel like that's where like a lot of kids can get hurt, because they comment rude things on your things, or they don't share the same opinions, and those friends are horrible, you know?
Yeah, I'll just play back on what you said about how little kids don't know better. I saw a hack where it was like scoop ice cream and it said microwave the spoon. Most children wouldn't know. And yeah, in cases like that, it does hurt me to be pro social media. But social media, I think it was always more intended for more discretion.
So when it comes to social media and like this whole debate about like, does it cause, you know, kids or teens or people to self-harm or self-delete themselves, I feel like the intention behind social media wasn't this. I just think people were just trying to make money. They're trying to like find a way, you know, to cap in on the phones coming in 2008, and just really they wanted people to really just like stay connected and stuff and find a new way to like, you know, give people an outlet to be creative and express themselves. And now it has turned into something that has negatively impacted people. People are comparing themselves like humans has always done. People are, you know, putting down other people like humans have always done, taking advantage of people like humans has always done throughout history. So I think social media itself isn't bad. I just think the way we've used it and just how fast it has exploded just took it off to another stratosphere, and I think faster than people can actually realize. And I think that's caused a lot of people to have unhealthy relationships with social media. And in my personal opinion, I don't think I would let my kids have a phone until they're 13, because it's just so much you can get into nowadays. It's just so much available, and it's just like I want my kids to at least know life outside of just the metaverse, out of social media. Nah, who telling what's going to come out whenever I have kids in the next, 10, 15 years. Make sure that they have some sense of themselves before they get into social media, because I've seen little kids on TikTok. I've seen kids on Musically back when it was popular, Kick, Instagram, Snapchat. They're on all this stuff before they're even teenagers, and I feel like they're getting more warped into like that's how real life is.
Well, it's kind of funny because I talk to a lot of organizations with Log Off, and the main point that they try to get across is that they're trying to advocate for kids to get cell phones and technology and social media at an older age.
Yep.
And years ago I would have said, that's really stupid. That's like the drug talk. Like, don't do drugs, don't be on social media. I'm not gonna listen to that. But then after years of kind of self-reflection, I wish someone would have said, you don't need Instagram to have a social life.
Well, she makes a good point, because you got little kids posting on here like cursing out people. You got people being exposed to like Facebook lives of people like, unaliving people. Little kids can't comprehend or know right from wrong. And that's why, in my personal opinion, I feel like violent crime is going up not to the extent of like what it was in the 90s and stuff, but pretty much I think violent crime is going to continue to be an issue in our society, because you got kids going on social media, you got kids going on TV, kids going on like cartoons, looking at all this stuff, being sucked in it all day and thinking that's how life is. You know, and it's just like, you know, I don't think the medium, I don't think the actual TV shows, I don't think the actual social medias or what is on the social media is necessarily just bad or terrible. I just feel like kids don't know from an early age that that's right or wrong.
If you give kids a platform to do whatever they want, they're gonna be dumb.
There's no educational advocacy out there to actually allow for that to happen. And when they are there, it's this older teacher who like has a completely different outlook on social media because they never existed in an age where it was your life.
On social media, and my dad told me, he was like, you know, but you're also trans and you're also like LGBT, you know, you need to be able to meet people because your bubble that you would know of trans people would be 0.
Yeah, but here's the thing, I think we're underestimating children. It's all about the education. It should be a class, like how sex ed is. There should be like tech ed.
Like computer lab days exist. Like, was that just my school? Like,
I remember computer lab
days or
we
something.
were
like,
think through math.
Where you practice
Think through
typing.
math.
They're relentless. We put an age limit on Instagram or an age limit on like an adult type website. They're still gonna get through.
I agree, like, because when you talk about the corn replaced with a P, like, you know, all that talk going on in the early 2000s, kids were still gonna get around that. Kids are gonna be relentless. Kids are gonna do whatever they want to do at the end of the day, and without their parents knowing, with their parents knowing, they're still going to do it. But in the end of the day, I think more is going to be done. And I don't think necessarily we just need an age limit. I also think there needs to be more education, like they said in this video. Like, there needs to be more awareness about the dangers of social media and all that, and having, like, you know, kids having social media literacy actually in public schools, you know, actually teaching like, hey, this is what might happen, this is what could happen. Just building upon that year after year until they reach that age of 13. I think that's a good bottleneck way of, you know, teaching kids about, hey, this is what social media, be safe, all that wonderful good stuff, as well as just like, hey, there's still going to have to be a restriction on this. But in general, I don't think having an 11-year-old with the latest like Samsung Galaxy or iPhone is really like good. Now, if they need a flip phone, if they need just a regular like phone like we had back in the day, I think that should be allowed in kids, because there's not much you can do on a BlackBerry, or like, you know, you have to flip up and type the text messages out like that. I think that's perfectly fine. By having like these advanced phones that has all these features to make it like kids don't even know what they're doing with it, I don't think that's okay.
Well, like, instead of just practicing typing, practice how to not be an idiot online, and like how to like learn and understand like
there should be
the
classes
harm
too.
of it. Because like if I had that education, I know that like I would have like at least braced myself for it.
I think when COVID first came in the scene, I think that's the only thing you could do, just communicate on social media, because literally could not go outside, could not meet anybody. It was not safe to even just go to the grocery store or like go out to eat. And it's just like, you know, like I'm saying, social media in itself is not terrible. I think we need social media. We become very independent on social media, but at the end of the day, there needs to be like education. There needs to be barriers. There needs to be some type of regulation of it, because it has so much detrimental effects on it. Because, you know, there's studies coming out that kids are like having lower attention spans the more they look at TikTok, because they're trying to get more dopamine rush from a 30-second video than from like an hour-long like lecture from school or, you know, a movie or something. Like, they need instant gratification. Like, I wouldn't even put the blame on the school. I just feel like woke culture and all that, you know, I don't like calling it woke culture, because some of it is just mainly just having basic common decency and common sense. But I just feel like our school system isn't really up to date on like what's going on nowadays. And, you know, you've seen it where people are protesting like having like don't say gay in the classroom, don't talk about gender or sexualities in the classroom, don't talk about race in the classroom. Schools are still having that working mentality where you go to work for 8 hours a day, you have to do this, do these tasks, do what the teacher tell you, do what the principal tell you, whatever, and basically you get a grade symbolizing paychecks. So it's just more about like, you know, updating schools, you know, having more like, you know, destructuring, decolonizing how our schools are, and just making it more just like actually what school is meant to be, actually like bring out the best of you, whether you want to be creative or you want to be a math whiz, a scientist, whether you want to, you know, be a poet. Building schools where it's just like, it's not like a one-size-fit-all model.
It's just someone actually talking to a camera, giving you real advice that a school really could never do.
Yeah, like being more hip.
But I've also looked up like election and there's been misinformation after misinformation, and with COVID. So for y'all that answered, how do you kind of outweigh like the chance to learn a bunch of new things with also the chance of seeing a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily true?
I think you just have to look for credible websites. I mean, it's just like when you're doing an essay, you wouldn't believe, just feel like blogs, any of that kind of stuff. It is easy to get a lot of misinformation, but it's also easy to see that this information is fake.
I think what she said beautifully about like having just an essay style mentality when you look at information. I feel like a lot of people don't know how to like write a unbiased essay, or just like people are more looking to like make more opinion pieces, especially when it comes to schools. I'm not picking on public schools because not every public school is like this, but there's a lot of like schools, especially in cities, where it's just like they don't have enough resources to be able to like teach like literacy, media literacy, as well as just like how to write like an actual paper with facts, with straight, facts, not like what you're getting off of like Alex Jones or CNN or Fox News. And I feel like a lot of people learn that in college, where college is based around facts. Like literally, you can't like write any opinion pieces in college. But I think the simple fact that people can just like look on Facebook and get information, not knowing where it comes from, I think that's what's like overtaking movements, especially with vaccines, misinformation with that, as well as just trying to be able to, get awareness out there.
I also think that with social media, with the algorithm in place, it's harder to discern.
I disagree with you, just because I feel like as kids we look up to our teachers for the right answers, and if they are like providing like a biased answer, we're getting the wrong information.
Yeah. If you've taken a political science class, there will be times where the teacher's own political beliefs might make the learning biased. So comparable to social media, it's about the same.
I would disagree with you for that exact reason, because it's just one human, one way of life, one perspective, one thought, But at least when you go on social media and you put up Trump, it's gonna come up both sides of the story. And it's up to you to differentiate and read it and see, okay, this comes from this credible website and this is coming from a blog on Wikipedia.
I see what she's saying, that, you get many different perspectives on social media. But it's just like, can you beat the algorithm though? Because sometimes when you're on TikTok, if you're trying to look up a specific thing, you have to actually search it up, because the For You page will literally just feed you what you've been looking at for the past, week, whatever, trying to keep you going down that rabbit hole and just like not getting any other viewpoint out of it.
Society would thrive more without social media.
Dang, that's a good question.
I think there are some really troubling signs that social media is kind of unwinding society and humanity, in the sense of like the democracy debate. Governments can use social media to then kind of undermine elections. And I think those are bigger issues when you look at the macro scale. But again, on the micro scale, there are so many different people in the world that thrive with it.
I know other people that are like me. I think I would thrive more without social media, because I compare myself and I look for those likes and look for those comments on my posts. And I feel like if I didn't have that concern, my mental health and my self-love and self-image would be so much better if I didn't see all this stuff on the internet.
Because are we talking about like us as like a human race, or like people individually? Instagram and things can like put like make you have poor body image and this, that, but also like in the case of like Alex, it helps him, meet other trans people and understand that like he isn't alone.
We need to look at the money aspect of it, because a lot of, I think Alexa, like she's making like 40K off of social media. She's thriving because she's making money off of it. As a society, like, what is it doing for our youth? What is it doing for our teenagers? And like, what is it really like, what messages is it able to get out, and like, what can it stop and block?
So in the recent months especially, there have been a lot of protests and stuff that were like, a lot of them were created online, and I think that if we didn't have social media,
Black Lives Matter,
a lot of them wouldn't have been possible, because there wouldn't have been the word spread so fast.
The thing that I've kind of been looking at is the people that go and take a picture and go like, oh my God, like I'm so supportive, and like they change their profile picture, they do the Blackout Tuesday, and then a week later it gets archived. Professional grade cameras, and like bring a hair and makeup team to like sit there and like pose in the middle of the street. Like, it's less of the movement and more of the social media.
And yeah,
like, let me tell you straight up with that, like, whenever Black Lives Matter was popping off on 2020, I had so many people in the streets from my college, literally like in the streets protesting in Austin, taking pictures and stuff, like having a whole photo shoot out there. I'm just like, what are y'all doing? Like, there's certain things that you can capture for the moment, but there's certain things you shouldn't. I'm pretty sure a protest where an African-American man was deleted is not the place for you to, get you that Instagram-worthy moment. And this is a broader and this is a broader debate about social media activism and like, does it translate into real life, change? In my personal opinion, I feel like there's so much thoughts and prayers going out there, or just like people just like talking on social media, but really don't want to go out there and actually do the work to actually make a change better. Like, you'll see one video on social media and be like, oh my God, that was horrible. We can't stop this. We need to stop doing this. But really don't really like have a deep conversation, do research, or really understand the like implications and like the complexities behind the issues you see. We need to stop like just doing social media activism. Like, yes, it's good to gather protesters, it's good to gather like initiatives and social movements and connect people to do great change around the world, but we also need to call out people just when people are just doing it for clicks, views, likes, and just doing it to promote their OnlyFans, or doing it to promote their own personal brands. Because at the end of the day, that is what's going to lead to the downfall of society.
But here's like a scenario. What if me, Alex, and Alexa, we all just teamed up. We did like a charity stream and then donated to, let's just throw back to like early 2020 where there was like fires. Wouldn't California or Australia thrive from us donating?
That translates into actual real life change and actual real life impact. That's different than just, just showing up just to show up, getting your Instagram viral moment and just dipping out. But like, I think people are still confusing the two.
I do agree that social media does like promote awareness and it helps change. And definitely in our society, because everyone's on social media. So if they see this and it gets spread, it's going to make change.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I made like the log off movement, is because I saw that there was this multifaceted nature about social media, and I at least just wanted to discuss it with teens and to be like, let's figure out how to exist in a healthier way.
Yep.
And even though social media, we can talk about the good and the bad all day, it's just nice to be in one space and have one conversation.
I mean, yeah, technically social media did bring us here, so I guess that's a good thing.
I like it, yeah. No, social media is good. We respect it. Yeah, very respectful debate when it comes to social media. I'm not saying it's just the devil, it's just terrible, we should get rid of it, we should delete it. But I think we need to have a more broader conversation about what it implications has on many different things, such as social movements, such as rotting our kids' brain, being exposed to it at an early age. And I feel like what our society is going through right now, whereas a lot of people are more selfish, impressionable, where they'll like take what they see on social media and just run with it, like the Kia challenge, people stealing Kia vehicles and crashing them and all that. There needs to be more education, awareness, and like more literacy around social media, because it's so easy to get warped into it and just be sucked down a rabbit hole of disinformation, misinformation, or just really think that life is just only surrounds like how much likes, how much replays, and how much, virality your like videos or pictures have. That being said, Happy New Year. Thank you to all the new subscribers that came in the past month for my last Jubilee reaction video. I really appreciate y'all coming through, as well as to the old subscribers that kept supporting me throughout the year. This year is going to be a big year for growth. I'm doing a lot more content, a lot more commentary, live streams, as well as just a lot of new things with the channel. If you want to watch some of my other videos, there's my last video right here that is still going viral and doing well, so keep supporting that. Stay warm, stay frosty, depending on what part of the country you're in, and peace out.